Once upon a time, there was a village that was cursed because of the sin of the king. Each day, the village got worse, and people began to die of hunger and frustration. In the village palace, there was an orphan named Adama, who was so beautiful. She was adopted by the queen, Neka, when her parents died. She grew up in the palace and ended up as the queen's special maiden. She was so beautiful that every man wanted to have her as a wife, including the king, Igwe Obinna. But she refused the king because of the queen. She could never do anything to hurt her, and she saw the royal family as her home. Marrying the man she grew up seeing as a father was totally not right. The king begged the queen to beg her for him too. But the queen told the king he was just out of his mind. How could you want to marry Adamma? The queen asked. She is like a daughter to us, she added. Adamma had been their child since the day they brought her to the palace. Why would he want to marry his own child? The people in the village murmured about it, and the elders advised him to forget about Adamma, saying that the gods didn't approve of him marrying her against her wish. Days later, the king sent for all the people of the village and made them eat, drink, and dance in the palace. The elders asked him what he was celebrating. He said it was because he wanted to openly apologize to Adamma and the entire village for his lust over her. Now he has set her for marriage. Any responsible young man could come to seek her hand in marriage. Everyone was surprised and happy. No one knew this was why they celebrated. So now that they know, the celebration even got better than before. The king already had some plans. His plans were evil. He was just doing what he did, so no one could suspect him when he carried out his evil plans. His plan was to sleep with her and send her out of the palace and the village entirely by accusing her of stealing. Stealing was a taboo, and anyone caught must be sent to the evil forest. That night, the king went to Adamma's hut and forcefully raped her. He made her swear she wouldn't tell anyone or he would kill her. Adamma cried bitterly. Why did she even trust the king before and allow him to enter his hut? She asked herself. What kind of lust would make him do this to her? Someone she has been seeing as a father, she said to herself. The next morning, while she was still trying to get herself together after the experience she had last night with the king, the guards came to her and dragged her to the king's hut, where she met the queen and other maidens standing there. The queen noticed she was not fine, but there was no time for her to ask what was wrong with her. Adamma didn't understand why she was dragged to kneel before the king and the queen and every other person. The queen's most costly bead is missing. Did you take it? The king asked. Adamma was surprised. This is just the first time something like this has happened in the palace, and why would they suspect her? How could she steal the queen's bead? The queen has been a mother to her right from the first day she was adopted. The king insisted the guards check her hut. He had hidden the beads last night in Adamma's hut when he went there to rape her. He stole the bead from the queen himself and hid it there just to implicate her. The next day, the people gathered and Adamma was presented before the elders as a thief. In the village of Umoka, stealing was an abomination, so anyone caught stealing was sent to the evil forest to die. The bead was found in the orphan's hut, and truly, he sent her into the evil forest where she could die. She cried she was innocent, but no one could believe her. If the king that was so much in love with her could turn his back on her, who then would believe she was innocent? The queen was confused. She had given her everything she needed. Why would she steal her bead? In the evil forest, Adamma was scared that she would die. But it turned out that the evil spirit in the forest knew who was innocent and who was not. They only killed the guilty and spared the innocent. So when she arrived, all the bloodthirsty demons came to eat her up. But they went away one after the other when they got closer, knowing that she is innocent. She thanked them for not killing her and keeping her alive. Then she stayed all alone day and night in the evil forest. Years later, things started going wrong in the village. The wrath of the gods had come upon the king and the entire village. The land became infertile, and the people began to suffer. The streams started drying up. No animals for the hunters, no fish in the ocean for the fishermen. Everything started turning upside down. The poor started dying of hunger, and the rich would go to other villages to buy food and water. Life was so hard. The elders decided to ask the gods what their offense was. They had to go and see the oracle. The oracle is the mouthpiece of the gods and the wisest one. Some other oracles came there to seek his consent. He would surely have answers to their questions. Why are the gods against them? They thought. Every time they suggested that to the king, he would discourage them and promise to find another way out. After weeks, the elders decided to make a journey to the shrine without the king. When they arrived at the shrine, it was revealed that the king knew what to do to save his people. Let him do it now before it is too late, the oracle said. The elders were confused. How could the king know what the problem was and the solution, yet is not doing anything about it? He sat down and watched people dying in the village. They arrived at the palace and broke the news that they went to the oracle without the king. The king almost collapsed, asking why they did that without his consent. The elders said they were tired of the hardship and needed help, but the oracle said their help was in the hands of the king. They asked him what he knew that he must do to help the village. He wouldn't speak out. The next day, the elders went to him again, begging. He said he would find out. It's almost 7 days and they are yet to hear from the king. They go to him and suggested he go to the oracle to ask what he must do if he doesn't know what to do. He promised to go but never made a move. It was taking longer than expected and no changes were made. The elders went back to the shrine again. Then the oracle made an edict that says, when the head is guilty, the entire body suffers it. The person ruling the village committed an abomination. Now the entire people in the village are facing the consequences. Let the king do the right thing, else the village will get worse. And it will start from the palace, because the gods have heard the cry of the innocent who has stayed in pain for more than 21 years. They asked who was the innocent and what did the king do that offended the gods. The oracle said nothing and sent them to go to their king and ask him to confess. They all went to him again and asked what he had done. He wouldn't speak out. Days passed and their hardship continued. The elders did all they could to make the king confess, but he was not ready to say a word to them. The gods were out of patience and started killing the king's sons. He had 3 grown sons. First, the heir to the throne, Ifeanyi. He slept and didn't wake up again. The queen cried bitterly. The elders knew this was a plague caused by the gods, and the king might have done something very terrible. They gathered together, begging him to confess if he had committed any abomination. He refused. The following week, another of his sons, Chokodi, the most beloved prince and a hunter, was brought dead from the bush where he went to hunt. A lion killed him, the hunter said. They didn't see any animal. They decided to go deeper into the forest, and the lion attacked the prince. The elders knew it was another plague, but the king accused the hunters of killing his son and locked them up in the palace prison. The elders went to him again and pleaded. This time he got upset, saying he had no confession to make. The queen overheard their communication at the meeting and confronted the king later. She asked him what he had done and pleaded with him to speak before her last child joined his brothers. But the king was still not ready to say a word. Days after, the king's last child, Kelechi, became sick. The elders were certain now it's another plague. This time, no one went to beg him to confess. The king brought many herbalists to heal him. He was the only surviving son, and if he lost this one, he has lost his throne. The oracle arrived at the palace the next day when the herbalist was trying to heal the prince, yelling for the king to confess, else the last child would die and the gods would take away the kingship from his kindred. Finally, he confessed his evil deed and that Adama was innocent. This spread everywhere in the village and everyone was sad. Before now, Adama in the forest had given birth to a son, Chidi, and he grew up in the forest. Chidi had been a friend to one of the village girls named Amara. Since the forest was lonely, Chidi would always walk up and down the forest doing nothing. He learned hunting by himself and farmed in the forest. He would go as far as he could to hunt. One day during his hunting he stumbled upon a very big sea that one could only cross over with a boat. Unknowingly to him, the sea was a boundary between the evil forest and the village. There, he met a girl of his age fetching water. The girl he saw was an Amara, and it was his first time seeing another human except himself and his mother. He has always asked his mother why it was just the two of them in a very big village. He never knew where they stayed was an evil forest. His mother would tell him he would get to know someday. When he first saw Amara, he shouted to get her attention and tried to make her see him, but the distance was so far. One couldn't even hear from the edges. Then he decided to find a way to meet Amara. First, he ran back to tell his mother.